Hudson Valley Knits Podcast. Today is Saturday, I think it's the 26th or the 27th, I'm not quite sure, 27th. I'm Amy, your host. I am also known as Memers on Ravelry and Memers66 on Instagram and Twitter. I believe this is episode 93 or 94, I'm not quite sure. I am down at George's Island State Park. I believe it's State Park or County Park down in New York, and it's a perfect day to podcast outside. I wasn't really planning on recording anything, but the weather is perfect. It's like 40 degrees, there's no wind, so you can hear me, and the sky is clear. The eagles are out, so that's why I picked this spot. It's eagle weather here in New York, in this area of New York. And if you look at this little, well, I'm actually in a cove, so that's not an island, but if you look at this area here, there's tons of eagle nests in there, so I'm hoping that maybe you'll get some eagle action in the background as I record. You'll probably hear a lot of ice cracking behind me. There's a lot of ice on the shore here, and I kind of like that too. I love the sound of that. Right, so I'm podcasting more because of the weather than for anything else, but I have a ton of new projects on the needle, so I thought I could definitely show you the new projects I've cast on since we last talked. I think I showed you my Joji Locatelli sweater, All the Love, which I'm wearing underneath my coat. I took some better pictures before I started recording to upload to Ravelry because it's so beautiful, and the pictures I have there now, the lighting where I was terrible, so I want to take them down and put a much nicer shot. So, and I also took some fresh pictures of my whips so that I can put them on Ravelry with the beautiful light we have today. And I took pictures of all my new yarn stash, which I figured is what I'm going to talk about the most today, because I went crazy buying yarn. I think I talked about that last time. So I got like the gift certificate for knit picks from my sister. I got some money for yarn from my mom, and recently I knit some pussy hats for a friend, and she thanked me with a knit picks gift certificate as well. So I think of all the yarn you're gonna see, I think I've paid for like maybe $40 of it, and there's more at home that I think I already showed you, like the hawthorn that I'm using for the shawls for my sister that I didn't have to put out a dime for either. So it's really exciting. But let me start with, I wanted to talk. I was listening to Helen from, now I'm drawing a blank at the name of her audio podcast. Oh, come on. It's like Helen from, I want to say Highland Handmaids. It's not Highland Handmaids. It'll come to me and I'll put it in the bottom. I'm like drawing a big blank. Anyway, I was listening to her podcast, and she was talking about the 9 for 2018. And I posted on, on Instagram what I wanted to make. So I've been looking at yarn in my stash, and I've been looking at yarn online because I don't stash sweater quantities normally. But I looked at the sweaters that I really want to make this year, and I had already talked to you about Humulus. I had bought Knit Picks yarn, and I brought that along so I could show it to you. So basically, I'm really excited about this 9 for 2018 thing going on, and also the new feature in Ravelry where you can, what do they call that tab? It's a new tab on your, when you look at your projects, that's challenge. It's called the challenge, and I put dates on the projects in my queue and the projects that I'm working on. Some of them are just, if there's no date I need them by, I put it for the end of the year. If I need it for Christmas, I put it like the beginning of December. But there's some that I really want to make at certain times, and I'm really excited about it. So it's nice to see your goals. So if you remember, if you followed me, I usually put set up a project in Ravelry, and basically what that project is my goals for the year, like knit 6 pairs of socks, just knit from stash, whatever your goals are for that year. And I did do that again, but this challenge tab is kind of lets me see my progress better, and I really like that. So yeah, everything I'm going to show you is kind of in my challenge tab, and some of them weren't. One of them is not part of my 9 for 2018, but things come up, and that's fine. Things will come up, and I'm fine with that. I've already actually changed my mind on a couple of the projects, substituted other things for it. Realistically, I don't know if I'll be able to finish all the projects, but it's a goal, and I'm certainly not going to beat myself up if I can't. So without further ado, Humulus. Oops, wrong project bag, sorry. Humulus is in my gnome bag. This is a fat squirrel bag. It's like, I love gnomes, and it's one of my favorite bags. I've been obsessed with gnomes since I was a kid. I had that gnome book, and I studied it, and I really believed it was real. Anyway, last time I recorded, I'd shown you the yarn I was using. It's from Knit Picks. It is it's wool, and it's a natural spun wool. It's called Simply Wool, and the color is Winkle. I believe I bought 8 skeins, and it was like $50, if that. I forget exactly, don't quote me on that, but it's so affordable. I'm like excited about it. That's why I've been buying so much Knit Picks yarn. So 8 of these I think I bought, or 6, and I was grappling on what color to do the color work in. Now, Humulus is all over Ravelry right now. It's by Isabel Kramer, and it's been on the first page of What's Hot Now forever. So, but I'll show you. I printed up the pattern. I usually don't print I didn't print the main picture, but there's a small picture here, and I'm pretty sure you'll recognize it. There it is. Okay, so I pretty much got the gray, although hers seems a little more white than mine. Mine's, I swear in this light it looks almost a little greenish, but I love it. I ended up going with my, what was my first pick, which is the Wool of the Andes tweed in the colorway Marine Heather. I had bought a bunch of tweed and also some regular Wool of the Andes, because I wasn't sure. This color kind of seemed a bit too bright to me. But when I start to knit it up, when I looked at all the other colors I ordered and then I started to knit it up, I had to agree that it's really blends in nice. All right, so here's the back. The row starts in the back, so that's why you see the yarn there. It's knit top down. It's a top-down yoke sweater, seamless. She does short rows for the neck and the back, which I love. I really love her patterns. This is my second sweater of hers. So here's the front. You can see how by doing the short rows, I get a nice little scoop for the neck. This is a very big neckline, because it comes kind of to the edge of your shoulders. The top of this is draped. The top of this is, I don't want to say blocked, but it was soaked, so it bloomed, because I wanted to double check my gauge. So I did do a gauge swatch in the round with the color work, and I got gauge. But as I was knitting this, for some reason I was thinking, gosh, it looks really tight. Let me just double check. So I soaked it, and then I took a quick measurement in a couple of places, and just to make sure I did get gauge. And you can see, if you look at the top here and then you look at the bottom, how much just giving it a little soak changes the stitches. There's so much more relaxed and softer and even more defined than down here where it has not had a bath yet. She uses German short rows for this, and I've done short row projects before, mostly with socks, to be honest. But this is the first time I've done short rows, and I really can't detect where the short rows are. So German short row or double, I think it's also called double knit technique sometimes, but I challenge you to see my short rows. Anyway, I mean, you can see where I've increased. This is an increase row where almost every row was almost every 2 stitches was increased or something. But anyway, I'm really enjoying this. I'm glad I finally decided on the marine, and the tweed is not really showing up, honestly. I'm looking at it and there's not much tweediness to it, which is okay. I want it to be kind of rustic, so that's why I was looking at the tweed colors. But that's okay, I still really love it. So this is coming along, and this is on my challenge page for 2018, and I'm sure I'll finish it pretty quickly. Once the yoke is done, it's just going to be straight knitting, and I probably won't have the patience to knit on it for long periods of time like I'm doing now. But I'm really liking it. She had a sale, and I bought a lot of her patterns that I've always admired and just never bought them because I wasn't ready to knit them. I'm trying to, oh, excuse me, I dropped my coffee. And luckily it's in a thermos so it doesn't spill. I'm trying not to buy patterns unless I'm ready to make them, because my pattern library is huge. There's no way I'll make every pattern I've purchased, so why am I buying things I'm not going to use? Why can't I just put them in my favorites or my queue, and then when I'm ready to knit them, I can buy them? But sometimes you get these incredible sales, like Melanie Berg and also Isabel Kramer do these sales, especially around the holidays. Hunter Hammerson does sales around the holidays, and also to her subscriber list. So I did buy a lot of her patterns, and a lot of them are in my queue, and I'm going to show you the next 2 sweaters in my queue are both by Isabel Kramer. Anyway, back to the whips. I'll show you my rose gold shawl that I'm currently working on for my sister Kim, and I'll put the picture I took here as well. Here it is. I love this pattern. I love brioche. I can't believe I waited so long to do brioche knitting. So here's the technically right side. It's the gray blue with the gold in the background. The gray blue is Knit Picks Hawthorne Astoria, and the background is Madeline Tosh sock in glazed pecan, which is like one of my favorite colors. And it's just coming along. Now I talked about, I added an I-cord edging, and I just want you all to know, in case you decide to try what I'm doing, and the I-cord edging I love. You have to buy more yarn if you want to knit yours with the main color as the I-cord edging. You have to buy an extra skein. You will probably run out of yarn if you don't. So it did cost me an extra skein, but Hawthorne yarn is only like $10, give or take. So why not? Anyway, about the I-cord edging, you just add the extra stitches at the beginning and the end, and every time you turn your work, you do your I-cord. But what you have to do is you have to I-cord twice. So let's say you turn the row, and I'm on this side now, right? I'll take my gray yarn and I'll do the first 3 stitches, and then I'm going to put them back on the left needle, and I'm going to knit the first 3 stitches again, making 2 rows of I-cord excuse me, for every row of brioche. Otherwise, it was pulling in on itself, and I'll show you. Here's the beginning where I wasn't doing that, and you see how it curls in? It's like you cannot, it's way too tight, and you can see this is all bunched up because this has not enough elasticity for this to lay flat. I did it about up to here, so I decided not to redo the beginning. It's going to be barely noticeable because this is such a huge shawl, and it'll probably relax out just a wee bit when I block it, but definitely 2 rows of I-cord for every row of brioche, and then buy an extra skein of yarn, or have at least a half a skein left over from maybe a previous project that you would be able to use, or you could pick a 4th color and mix it up anyway. I choose the pattern's written for 2 gradient sets. One gradient set, she starts from darkest to lightest, the other from lightest to darkest, and she just knits it that way. So I'm not sure what you would do if you did it that way, but you can pick as many colors as you want. But I think you would have to always use the main color for the I-cord. So just something that you need to keep in mind, that I discovered the hard way by trial and error. All right, so this is in a Bags by Awesome Granny bag with its matching Notions bag. Here it is, it's Fireflies. I love this bag as well. It's one of my few actually I have a lot of, I prefer the bigger project bags, even if it's not a super huge project. And I find the sweater bags don't fit all the sweater stuff, but it's fine. Finally, I have 2 more to show you. One is a project I actually started last year. I'll show you the finished sock again. It's a Hunter Hammerson pattern. I love her stuff. She is one of my favorite designers. And here's the finished sock, already blocked. You can see the beautiful stitch pattern. I love this color yarn, but I don't like the yarn. The yarn is, excuse me, Anzula Luxury Fibers hand-dyed yarn, and the colorway is Haiku. It is superwash merino, bamboo, and nylon. That's what gives it the beautiful drape, and it will probably be very durable, but it's very splitty and makes it a pain in the neck to knit with. And here's the shiitake is actually the color, and haiku is the base. So I'm knitting the second sock, and here's how far I am. I really want to get this done because I want to cast on one of the pairs of socks that I just somehow am itching to make lately. So that's it. That's with this sock. It's going a little quicker with the second sock because I'm used to the stitch already, and I kind of don't need to follow it as closely as I did with the first sock. But another new cast on, my last whip to show you, is my sister sent me a text message. She showed me her foot wearing a pair of socks I had knit her, and there was a huge hole in the heel and on both socks, and she said, can you fix this? I had fixed a pair of socks I knit her husband before, but this hole was not only gigantic, I didn't have any leftover yarn, and it was even around the hole, it was incredibly thinned out. So I said, I wouldn't call these fixable. You have to let me know sooner when they start to wear out, either before the hole forms or right after, and then I can fix it, but this is just too late. So I'll knit you a new pair of socks. I chose another Hunter Hammerson pattern. I don't have it printed out, so now that means I don't remember the name. So I'll have to put it in a little thing on the bottom. It's a Hunter Hammerson pattern. I had it in my queue and I love it, and it was designed to show off variegated yarns, which I put pictures. My sister Lisa always wants yarns or socks she can wash in the wash machine, and I picked a couple of colors for my stash that I thought she'd like, and I also threw in a couple of skeins I had of Sock Set Rock that were in my trade page because I wasn't fond of the colors and I'm trying to get rid of them, and I'm like, well, maybe she'll like them and then I can use them, right? And she picked the craziest color, and I was like, I was really thinking that my sister would be more tame. She'd want something more tame, more natural, not too bright. She picked the craziest skein I put in front of her. So this is what she picked. I was the 1 year I did the Sock Set Rock Club, which I don't really recommend for a couple of reasons, but I guess the price is reasonable. It's not the price. It's expensive if you can afford it, but it's not expensive considering what you get. But what I didn't like was the extras that she says she sends are always the same. They were the same thing every time you got a shipment. They were stitch markers. And I'm like, I have more than enough of these stitch markers, thanks, but it was always the same thing. The second thing was she says she sends a little sample skein, but it's of the same yarn that you just bought. Why do I need a sample of a yarn that you've already sent me? Send me a different color that I can try out and see if I like. So I thought that was just not really good. I don't know. It's not bad, but not for me. I would have liked to have gotten other colors that I could try out. So I should recommend that to her. And then lastly, she's like obsessed with you not being able to sell your club yarn unless it's to someone else that belonged in the club. Well, why would someone else who's already got the skein want to buy the yarn? And why can't, she said, because she promises exclusiveness. I'm like, well, it's my yarn now, and if I want to sell it, I'm going to sell it to whoever wants to buy it, and you can't tell me who to sell it to. So all those things bother me. I'll never do it again. And another thing is, like, half the colors I really didn't like. I love Sock Set Rock's yarn. It is, I think, the best sock yarn out there. My husband, they last for him, and he's got like big rough feet. They're just great yarns, and even if you wash them, they look great after you take them out of the wash. And I think it's because of the twist and the number of plies. There's always a color there that I'm gonna fall in love with. But a lot of her colors are are not my thing. So when you join a club, you're kind of dependent on them to decide. That's why I stopped. I went on a club spree. I did a Spirit Trail Fiber Work Club, and I did this, and I also did before she got raving popular, I did Hedgehog Fibers Club, and it's just always hit or miss. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna wait and pick what I like instead of paying for something where I don't know if I'm gonna like it. Makes sense? So this is, oh, I forgot to tell you, this colorway, which has beautiful aqua, orange, blues, it's really gorgeous, in a green. It is her 10-year anniversary color. So my sister's getting it. And again, you'll probably know the pattern name by now. So I just did I show you the sock? I can't remember. Here's the sock. It's a really simple, very easy to memorize pattern, which is why I haven't printed it. The whole leg, until I get to the heel turn, is going to be the same pattern, which I've already memorized. There's no cuff because it's pretty elastic. But it does work really well with the variegated yarn. I'm very pleased, and I love Socks That Rock yarn. Excuse me. There's a couple of sock yarns that I swear by. One is Patent Croy, but that's a very rough and rugged and outdoor type of yarn. If you make socks with Patent Croy, you're gonna sweat in them if you wear them indoors. They're for like days like today where I'm outside podcasting. It'd be a great day to wear them. This, however, while also warm, is also super soft and more luxurious against the skin. So I love this for different reasons, and of course the colors. Patent Croy is super cheap too, especially if your sister-in-law works for Joanne Fabrics. You can ask her to pick it up with her discount. Yeah, and speaking of Patent Croy, I think I showed you socks I was knitting for a coworker. I told you we did a barter. He got me some hard-to-find buttons. I finished them and gave them to him. I didn't take any pictures. I didn't do a project page. It was just a plain vanilla sock in the Patent Croy colorway Cadet. Really came out really great. He was like very, very appreciative. Definitely a knit-worthy coworker. My boss is nagging me now. I told him to hold on. I have some other obligation knitting first, which is of course my sister. So next I'm going to show you what I have in my queue, and maybe I'll show you the yarn that I plan to use, since that's the stash enhancement for the most part. Look, I don't even need my hat and mittens down here. It's 40, but it's not windy, so it's really comfortable. Oh, I printed this up because I definitely want to make some, because I can see these being great to add to knitted gifts as a sachet, or great to cheer somebody up with. So Hunter Hammerson, if you like her patterns, join her email list, because she gives great discounts when she puts new patterns out. So I got this actually for free, but it's these hearts. I didn't print the first page because I don't like using the ink, but she just recently released a heart pattern, and I think for her subscribers she gave a code so that if you buy any other of her patterns, which I bought the pattern I'm using for my sister's socks, you get this for free. So you can use them as little sachets, put lavender in them, or just stuff them and make like little banners with them. So I printed this up at work so that I could use some scrap yarn, maybe knit a few hearts and put some, make them into sachets. I got tons of lavender. I love lavender sachets. So that's one thing I'd like to dilly-dally with. The next sweater, probably the next sweater. I have two sweaters, and I'm really actually not sure which one will be next. Come on. But it's another, it's about Kramer, and it's called Malin, and I'm sure you'll recognize this. This is an older pattern, but it's very popular. All her patterns are top down, knit in the round, one piece usually. I like her patterns because they have a generous amount of ease. And there's two lace versions of the lace panel down the center, and I'm going to do this one. So this is worsted weight wool, and you can see the recommended yarn is 100% wool. So I decided to check out Wool of the Andes from Knit Picks, since I had the gift card. And one of the things I did that was really helpful is I looked on their website initially for colors that appealed to me, and then I went to Ravelry, because you can see a color by itself, but maybe knit up as a whole sweater it's just like too much of one color, or maybe it's just too subtle for me. So I went to Ravelry and I pulled up that yarn and color, and I looked to see other people's finished projects with that. And while this was not my first choice, when I saw some of the sweaters made with this yarn and color, I fell in love with it. I have to find the open day. So here it is. It's Wool of the Andes, and the colorway is Lake Ice Heather. It is gray, blue, lavender. It's gorgeous. I thought it might be too much of a cool blue, but it's not. It's beautiful, and that will be that sweater. This is $2 a skein. $2 a skein. All the yarn I need for that sweater cost me like $26, and it's not a bad yarn. So this is going to be Malin. Next I did, just give me a second to put this back in the bag here. Alright, so I told you I bought a bunch of Wool of the Andes because I wasn't sure what color to do that yoke in. And I also bought a few different colors because it's only $2. The tweeds were on sale. All the tweed yarns were on sale the week I did this as well. So the tweed yarn was, I think it was $3 a skein. And I also have a another coworker, which I think I mentioned. I had just found out that he's expecting another baby boy in April. And I didn't know that. And he's like, oh, I thought I told you. And I'm like, well, I'll have to knit him a Gramps cardigan from Tin Can Knits. Let me get that so you can see. I'm sure you've seen it because everybody knows Tin Can Knits Gramps sweater, right? So I've knit this before for a friend's baby. It's a really sweet and adorable baby boy sweater. And when I knit it the last time, I'm trying to find a good picture. Aw. Here it is on a toddler. It's a great shot. When I knit the last time, I didn't do the shawl collar. I just did a regular V-neck, but here it is on a little toddler. Now this boy is going to be born in April. It's starting to get warmer, but it's still cold at night around here. And they actually live on Long Island, and they get a lot of wind off the ocean. So it's always colder in Long Island than it is up more inland. So I think I'll do the 3 to 6 month size. What do you think? Should I do a 3 to 6 month size, or should I just jump up into a 1 year or a 6 to 9 month so that the baby can wear it in the fall? Let me know what you think. I try and take into account what time of year the babies are being born when I decide what size sweater. But anyway, here's a picture of it on a baby. And see the brown and blue there? I like that combination. So here's what I picked, and maybe if I don't know if there's a way to do a vote. I think you can do voting threads on Ravelry. I'll look into that. But maybe I'll start a thread where you can tell me which colors you like best. So, oh, and before I show you, I'll tell you that the baby is they're Indian, from India, and they're very dark skinned. So this is gonna very likely be, if their first child is any indication, it's gonna have a big head of black hair, and it's gonna have pretty dark skin. So I was looking for colors that were brighter and not too pastel-y, because I think they won't look good with the skin tone. I think brighter jewel colors will look better. So the first thing I was thinking is I was really digging this tweed color online. I kind of fell out of love with it when I see it in person, but I thought a tweed Gramps cardigan would look kind of cool. This is called Barn Door Heather, and I thought that this would be good for the main body of the sweater, and then I would use this, which is Reindeer Heather, for the collar and button bands and pockets and patches and stuff. And I'm on the fence, and I'm like even tempted to like bring them to work and ask my coworker, what do you like? What do you think your wife will like? So, but I haven't done that. So that's one option. The other thing I was thinking is I saw this color, and this was actually one of the colors that I bought, and so was this barn door. I was thinking this might be good in that sweater, but it's totally not good with that. But this cadet blue, I really like it. It got totally lost. This I was thinking for the yoke for the Humulus. It didn't pop enough. But I also thought, and this I already had in my stash, this is Wool of the Andes Fedora, which is a beautiful chocolate brown. And I thought with this as the button band and collar and the brown as the sweater, it would look good. But then I'm thinking, well, if the baby's dark skin and more brown than black, but would this look lost? Would it be too much brown? Is it not? I don't know. Or should I not even worry about it? It's a baby, who cares? I don't know. So this is the other combination, with this being the collar and button band and this being the main body of the sweater. Because I don't have it, well, I do have enough of this. I have enough to make a main body with this as well and maybe flip it around. But I don't know. I have 4 of these. I could. And I also have a bunch of this color at home, which I had prior sitting in my stash for years. I think I have 4 of them, and it's Wool of the Andes Current, and it's just like a wine color with just a bit of brown undertones. It's very pretty, and it would have looked good on the sweater too, but I went with my first choice, which was the Marine Heather. But this could be, I have enough of these to use this as the body, and maybe one of these browns, or even the blue, or the fedora for the trim, or maybe this Reindeer Heather as the trim. Would it look good with a tweed and a solid? I don't know. So many things to consider, and I can't make up my mind. And I'm really like thinking I should just bring it in and ask the dad what he likes. Right? Should I? I don't know. I feel like that's tacky too. What if he doesn't like any of them and he's too polite to say something? Oh. Tell me what you think. I need your opinion. So that's all my stash enhancement. No, it's not. 2 more things I have to show you. Alright, so next in the queue that I printed up the pattern, I have a dear friend. I love them so much. So, I don't know, little background without going into too much detail. I have a lot of experience with loved ones very close to me with severe mental illness. And I'm not here to be a spokesperson for mental illness, but I understand what it's like to live with someone who's mentally ill and unstable. And it's scary. You feel alone. Insurance companies don't take it seriously, so it's hard to get the care you need. And employers don't understand. And it's hard to get a job and keep a job when you're unstable like this. It's not like if you have cancer, right? You go to your boss and you say, I have cancer, I'm not going to be 100% at work, and they're going to be, oh, we got your back, don't worry. But if you go to your boss and you say, I'm depressed, I'm in a really dark place, I don't know if I can give 100%, they'll be like, well, can you take a pill for that? Right? So anyway, my dear friend, and this is like out of the blue, or not out of the blue, but gradually they noticed their mom was having issues and exhibiting psychotic behavior. And she reached out to me because she knew what I had been through, and she asked for help because they didn't know what to do, and it was becoming out of control. It's like really difficult to live with someone that's going through this, because it's just, you can't get through to them. They don't understand. They're not capable of thinking and seeing things the way you do. So it's hard. It's really hard. So one of the things we thought would be maybe teaching her mom to knit would help her. And we like for a few weekends we went over to her house, and her and her mom was there, and a couple of her sisters, and I'm showing them how to knit. And then they were also asking for advice because they were fighting amongst themselves, because everybody had their own idea of what was best for their mom. And long story short, they found a fabulous doctor, and they got their mom some treatment and found something that worked. And she's like incredibly happy because they feel like they have their mom back. So not everybody has this kind of happy ending. Their mom is in her 70s, so usually these things don't pop up so late in life. Usually they come in your late 20s is when they really exhibit themselves full force. But anyway, I love this woman dearly, and I'm so happy. But she's a very prayerful, a very religious woman. She's Catholic, and she's very religious, and she prays a lot. And I thought it would be really wonderful to knit her a prayer shawl. And when I say a prayer shawl, I mean like every time when I pick it up to knit on it, I would say a prayer for her. And I call her Nanny too. That's how I'm very close with the family, and so I would say a prayer for Nanny, and then I would. My husband, worked at a monastery, and he said he would bring the shawl up to the friars and have them bless it for her, which I know would mean a lot to her. And maybe I'll get her a little saint necklace, because I know she had a saint around her neck, and she was always touching it and praying. But anyway, I decided to make her Coastal Walk by Joji Locatelli. This has been in my, this is one of the patterns I bought years ago because I fell in love with it. Maybe it was on sale, I don't know. But I knew I wanted to make it. The pattern calls for a sport weight yarn. I asked my friend what her mom would like, and I'm thinking the woman's very humble and modest and religious and whatnot, and she's older. She's in her 70s, but so I thought something very neutral, or maybe like a toned down color or something like that. And she says, oh, my mom loves hot pink. My mom loves pinks and girly colors. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I didn't have anything in a sport weight in my stash, or I think it's DK actually. But I ended up going to the O Wool website. If you're not familiar with O Wool, it is beautifully dyed, 100% organic wool and organically superwash wool. So in other words, it's made into superwash yarn by 100% organic methods. None of the chemicals that burn the things off the wool, they use an organic method. And they had this beautiful color bull thistle, which I ordered 2 skeins of to make this shawl for my friend's mom, for Nanny. So I think there's no real rush on this, but I'll probably start this after I finish the rose gold from my sister. So that yarn has not come in yet, but wait till you see it. Check out the O Wool website. First, also, the price is, you can't beat it. The price per skein is for her superwash stuff is $15.99 a skein. and it's for a full skein, 100 grams, and it's beautiful colors, and they're a Rhinebeck vendor, and that's how I found out about them. And I've shown you stash from them before, and $15.99 for a full skein of yarn is a really, really good price, especially with these beautiful colors. So check it out. It's a diamond in the rough. All right. Next pair of socks is going to be, Curious Handmade. So Helen from Curious Handmade Podcast, Helen Stewart, that's the podcast I was listening to this morning. I have her Vintage Fairy Lights pattern. It was not this year, but last year's. And I think I talked about this last podcast, but I want to put these on the needle. But because I have the pair for my sister, and I also have the other Hunter Hammerson pattern that I haven't finished yet, I want to finish one of those before I start that. So that's there. And then the other thing, I have more stash enhancement, but I forgot to print out the pattern. It's another, the third Isabel Kramer sweater I want to make. For this one is a merino silk blend, and it's single ply, and I can't remember the name. I apologize. I can look it up and put it on the bottom here, and maybe even stick in a picture of it. It's a top down for all of it, like on all, and it's got lace yoke, and then all the way down, and it's pink. But I was thinking about using Knit Picks gloss, which it's kind of the same blend, but it's plied. But I went to the Web's website, and with the discount, this actually turned out to be pretty affordable. So this is $30 a skein, but I got all 6 skeins for like $125 because of the discount you get when you order more than $100. But I ended up ordering the recommended yarn, which is Manos de Uruguay Fino, and they don't have the name of the color, but I think it's ink, and it's slightly variegated blues, purples, maybe even a little charcoal gray. Gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. So I have 6 of these in here. This one has a lot more purple. I'll probably alternate skeins. I hate doing that, and I don't usually, but because each skein is kind of different. Although I don't know, maybe it won't look so bad because it's variegated. You won't really notice it. I don't know. I haven't decided, but I really hate alternating skeins because I hate having 2 skeins of yarn attached to my project. I find it messy. So I've gone on a long time. It's like 45 minutes plus a little more. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm sorry you didn't get more eagle action. When I first got here, they were all like flying around close to the water looking for fish, and it would have been a really cool shot. But I hope you enjoyed it down here along the Hudson River at the Georges Island Park. This is one of my favorite places. I've been coming here since I was a kid. It's like halfway between where I grew up and where I live now. And I used to take my own kids here almost every day after school. We'd go for a walk here with the dogs, and it's a chance for the kids to run around after their homework was done. And back then you could let your dogs loose if they were friendly. Nobody cared. Now everybody cares, but back then nobody cared. So it was a place where my dogs could run around and have fun. And so there's a lot of beautiful memories here. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon, hopefully with some finished objects. Bye for now.